An opinion piece in The Guardian says, quote, Jared Kushner's charmed life is about to come to a screeching halt. That's just the headline. In the body of the piece, it goes on to say, in all his fantasies about conquering Washington at Donald Trump's side, Kushner undoubtedly never imagined being ensnared in an FBI investigation. His life in the coming months and maybe years will be a study in misery. He will probably spend more time with his personal lawyer than with Ivanka or his children. The author, Walter Shapiro, is here with us in the studio. He's a longtime journalist. You may know him for his work for years at USA Today. These days, a columnist for Roll Call. He was also a speechwriter for one James Earl Carter of Georgia, President of the United States.
Exactly.
Imagine that. So tell us about this. Why are you convinced his life will come to a screeching halt? And what about his life has reached out to you?
Well, first of all, what I'm really extrapolating from is the experience that people had in the Clinton administration during Whitewater, and to some extent the Bush administration during the Valerie Plame investigation. That even just being ensnared in an FBI investigation, being a person of interest, being asked to assist the authorities in their inquiries, means that you are constantly worried that a false statement to the FBI is a felony. A statement before the Congress, and Jared Kushner has volunteered to testify under oath, could be a felony. And even if you have not done anything hitherto that's illegal, in the whole process, you run the risk of legal jeopardy. And that means before you go to the Hill, Kushner would probably spend weeks going over his testimony with his lawyers. And this is a man who's supposed to be bringing peace to the Middle East.
And Veterans Affairs and opiate addiction.
Oh, right, I forgot that.
And a special rapid response force for American business. The president had a choice and chose this coveted job and an office very close to the Oval Office for his son-in-law, a 36-year-old guy. How will that decision possibly splash back onto the president?
Well, if Jared Kushner, A, is totally preoccupied with the inquiries, B, as he has hinted periodically, he and Ivanka just might go back to New York, that suddenly Donald Trump, who is already probably the loneliest president since Abraham Lincoln, will start looking around at those meetings. Where's Jared? Where's Ivanka? And all he will see are either strangers or people whose loyalty he doesn't fully trust. Every president goes through that moment. It is generally late in the second term when the president looks around the cabinet room, the staff table, and says, who are these guys? For Donald Trump, it could come in the first summer of his presidency.
Question I asked Walter Isaacson. You've covered, what, 10 presidential election cycles?
And Walter Isaacson was my editor at Time.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it all goes back to that. How unprecedented is this? Have you run out of ways?
There are no way to possibly compare this to anything. I keep coming back to Dorothy Parker's description of Warren Harding, another scandal-prone president, who said, ultimately, he's just a slob.
Yeah.
And there is a quality of just slovenliness to this entire administration from Donald Trump on down. But the difference is, in the 1920s, America was not a nuclear power. The president didn't have to worry about what was happening on the Korean Peninsula. Now we are in a situation where there is still unprecedented power resting with the President of the United States. And from day to day, we have no idea if anyone in the White House is either up to the responsibilities or fails to realize that they're not up to the responsibilities.
Well, that was the point a senior State Department official made on this network tonight, that coming off the European trip, it is clear to her that everyone else is playing chess. The American president is playing checkers. And you've been around enough to know that sooner or later the presidency is going to raise its ugly head. Something bad is going to happen somewhere.
Something as bad is going to happen, or we're going to have all of these rumored shakeups actually happening. The White House communications director left today, and by all accounts, it is not the most coveted job in Washington to replace him. And what we're going to have is a understaffed administration at the best of times, even in more disarray.
I'll give you 15 seconds for the closing sentence. Do you see a silver lining?
Yes, I think the system is working. I think Donald Trump, every time he comes out of constitutional norms, has been constrained by the Congress, the courts, the bureaucracy, and the American people.
Walter Shapiro, thank you very much for coming by our
Thanks so
studios
much, Brian.
tonight.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.